I am thrilled to introduce the Attorney General that is the Attorney General of the great state of Louisiana. He is kind of a rock star. He has reformed the justice system in his own state. He was also the National Association of Attorneys General that earned the Gladiator Award by the Louisiana Family Forum. He has won the Conference of Western Attorney Generals Award for Best Consumer Outreach and the U.S. DHH Inspector General's Award of Excellence in fighting Medicaid and welfare fraud, waste, and abuse. This guy gets the job done. He's just filed suit a few months ago against Fauci, and his name is Jeff Landry, and he joins us now. Attorney General, how are you, sir?
Good. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you. It's
how are you?
Honor to talk to you. So thank you, first of all, for everything you do. I think the Attorney General in every state is one of the last lines of defense, and you guys can actually turn things around in this country. We have to start at the local and state level. So thank you for everything you do.
Well, Glenn, you couldn't have been more right, because you fix the country by fixing your state and your community.
Right. You have brought a lawsuit against the Biden administration and Anthony Fauci, and you had a 7-hour deposition with him. What can you share with us on that?
Well, let's see. Let's set a couple of ground rules. You know, right now the transcript is being prepared, and then it will be filed into the record. And I feel confident that it will be made public. And so, you know, until that is done, any of the real specifics of it, I would try to refrain from going into those types of details. The video, there was a video. That video is currently under seal, and I believe until it's at least filed, and then we'll ask the judge to unseal it. But let me just say this: once it's unsealed, you are going to have a field day. So get your popcorn, get your reading glasses if you need them, and your highlighter, and we can have a great conversation of each one of those specifics. In general, what I can tell you was that it was amazing to me the amount of information that Dr. Fauci could not recall, and that he, you know, on documents and emails that were presented to him in exhibits, right, which will be made part of that transcript as well. However, I would tell you that the most, and I don't know if I want to use the word troubling, bizarre, perplexing, the thing that has perplexed me and bothered me for the last 5 days now was actually an event that took place during the deposition. All right. So let me kind of set the scene. We are in the NIAID, that's the National Institute for Allergies and Infectious Diseases, which Dr. Fauci runs, and, you know, awards billions of dollars in grants for research and development, for places like over in Wuhan, China. And we're sitting at a table, a rectangular table, and the court reporter is at the end of the table. Nice lady, probably in her late 20s, mid-20s, maybe early 30s. I don't know. I'm going to get that bad. But a young lady. And she's sitting at the end next to Dr. Fauci, who's sitting on one side of the table with the videographer on the other, and the Solicitor General from Missouri, who's asking the questions, as General Schmidt, now, you know, U.S. Senator-elect, Schmidt's with me in the room. And we're about 5 hours into this. And the young lady sneezes. And I'm telling you, Dr. Fauci almost comes out of his chair. And he looks at her and he says, "Do you have an upper respiratory infection?" And I mean, the girl is like startled. Lady is startled. She's like, "What?" She's like, no, I got some allergies. And he says, "You know, with COVID and everything, I'm extremely concerned." And then he makes her go put a mask on. And so I just want to put this, just think about this, Glenn. This is a man who 24 hours before that was at the podium of the White House telling the world and the American people that if you really want to be safe and healthy and protect yourself, go get your booster. Now, I'm going to assume that he's been double vaxxed, 10 times boosted, whatever, right? So why would it bother him if the young lady has the sniffles, right? So because he's the guy that implemented all the policies about vaccine mandates and how this works and how he alone is eradicating COVID, and yet a simple sneeze likes to knock him out of his chair. Now, to me, that's bothering me that a man with his authority who basically wrecked the U.S. economy and who tells the American people, don't listen to your doctor, listen to me, and puts all his confidence in this shot. And yet this little sneeze seems to perplex him. I mean, I don't know. Am I missing something, Glenn?
No, I can't predict what these people even think. I'm anxious to see. You did ask him about the lab leak theory and his discrediting the lab leak theory. You don't have to give me any answers, but can you give me some of the questions you guys asked?
Well, we covered the Wuhan lab.
Okay.
We covered his responses to the questioning of whether or not the virus was birthed out of natural evolution,
right?
Or may have been genetically created. We covered a range of topics, and again, I think it's important to remember for your listeners that this case is about censorship, right? So it's not about whether the virus was made in a lab or escaped from a wet market. This was about whether or not, when Dr. Fauci believed information was disinformation or misinformation, that he and the White House and the FBI and the CDC basically censored that information or told or coerced or colluded or forced big tech to change the information that was on their platform, or basically to take certain information down. Because that's at the core of this case, and quite frankly, I think it's one of the most important First Amendment cases in modern legal times. I mean, if we lose this case, it's like, where is the reach of the government? Because this is basically this case. People actually will explain this case to you. It would be like this. Imagine that during the Trump years, President Trump would have sent a federal agent to the editorial office of the New York Times and said, "Hey, sir, ma'am, I am federal agent such and such from whatever, the White House or the Justice Department, whatever, and I am now going to be housed in your editorial room, and I am going to tell you what you can and can't put on the front page. I am going to, after you edit, I am going to redact or add things to your stories." I mean, what do you think would have happened, Glenn?
I think we all are very well aware of what would have happened. They would have been screaming First Amendment, but they don't actually. I don't think they actually believe in the First Amendment unless you agree with them. So, do they have the kind of quasi-war powers to do that? Because we did do that in World War II. We had people in the newsrooms going, "Nope, can't say that, can't say that." So is it a war power that they are claiming?
Well, I didn't know we ever declared war on a virus, and I don't think that those powers would be applicable to this type of situation.
Sure.
In addition, I don't know that there was a national security issue regarding doctors who may have been sharing potential therapeutics that relieve patients of their symptoms and ultimately kept them off of a ventilator. I don't think that there was a national security. Of course, some may argue on the releasing of Hunter Biden's laptop or making that story seem to be misinformation or disinformation or Russian propaganda. I mean, there is information that should be made available to the American people. And let me just also say something too. Remember, the social platforms claim that they're not the press. They claim that they're not journalists. They claim that they're not publishers, right? So that they can hide behind Section 230, which is the law that protects them from being sued for taking people down or content down. And that's the problem, is that this speech that they censored was Americans vetting, conversing, having a conversation virtually about issues and theories as the pandemic or the Hunter Biden laptop story came out as to what they believe. And then big tech took those stories down, or certainly throttled down the reach of certain actual journalists or media outlets,
right,
because they were conservative, from being able to reach the American people. And so I think that trying to compare, wartime exercise of information back in World War II to today is what they did is kind of like apples and oranges.
Yeah.
For the listeners out there. It's a good example of how it's not.
So, Jeff, I only have a couple of seconds left of time before you've got to go. We have the Louisiana Attorney General on, Jeff Landry. So the sealing of this deposition, it's already gone through court that it had to be kept secret for at least for a while. Are you confident that this information will be coming out?
I do. I believe that the transcript will be made public. I do. I feel very confident. I think we've got a great, fair judge who understands the breadth and the depth of this case. And look, we've got a lot more people. We deposed Jen Psaki in a couple of weeks. I think that this deposition that we took last week is going to grant us the ability to depose other people as well, and some of the information that we got. And so this is going to be an ongoing piece of litigation that I think is going to unveil a lot to the American people about the things that were going on during the pandemic. And I can't thank you, Glenn, for giving me some time.
Oh, no, I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you for everything that you have done. And, of course, you were partnered with the then Attorney General Schmidt, who is now a senator, a U.S. senator, just elected. And we're thrilled. And thank you so much for everything that you do. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry.